Hey everyone. So pre-inspection sounds like a great idea for sellers, but today on Keeping It Real, we're calling it Behind the Deal. We're going to talk about when they actually cause problems more than they solve. So I'm Nikki Shelton. I'm with Keeping It Real in real estate, and I thought it'd be fun to do a roundtable with another local real estate professional today. I'm so excited to have Betsy join us here behind the deal. So we're going to be talking about what's really happening in the market. And Betsy, welcome. Glad to have you with us. So I'm going to totally go off script here again because I do this all the time and I love doing it this way, actually. So Betsy and I, we decided we met 2014, 2015. Yeah. So it's been a while. And we have never been in the same brokerage. I mean, we are friends. We collaborate together. We do weird stuff like this sometimes together. But we have never actually worked together. So Betsy, go ahead and take a few moments and tell me about yourself and who you work for and about you.
So my name is Betsy Tarpley. I'm a managing broker with Coldwell Banker here in Kitsap County, Silverdale office. And I have worked, since 2014 here in Kitsap County, and have been exposed to, a variety of transactions on what's good, what's bad. And one of the things I love about real estate is it's always changing.
It is.
Nothing's the same. So
it is this market. We've seen so many different markets in the last 10 years. It's been kind of crazy. So like I mentioned, and you guys, I know I'm Nikki and I'm with Real Broker. So the thing is that we both kind of see the market switch and stuff. And sometimes there's things that work well during that market. And there's sometimes that they really don't. And sometimes it's that. And so today we're talking about pre-inspections. And this is especially from the seller side and whether they're actually a good idea or not. So anyway, let's talk about what a pre-inspection is. A pre-inspection is when the seller just will do a home inspection to figure out what's wrong with their house before they even put it in the market. Sometimes there's stuff that comes up and it's great and they get it fixed. And other times things don't go so well. And so today that's where we're diving in to find out what can go right and what can go wrong. And Betsy, I asked you before, but go ahead and tell me again, what's your general take on this?
It really depends. So, every single seller is different. Is the seller motivated? If they are, get it done so there's no surprises. If you do have a pre-inspection done, you don't have to fix everything, but you sure as heck have to disclose it. And if as an agent we're involved with it, we have to disclose what we know as well. And so that's where it can get a little bit dicey.
Right. And so, and my thing is I usually tell that exactly to my sellers. It's like, this is the deal. If you do that pre-inspection, everything you find out, you now have to disclose. So if you didn't know that your wall had a crack in it, you got to expose that now. Or if one of your appliances quit or doesn't work, or if furnace is too old or whatever. It could be anything. And so it now becomes material facts. Mm-hmm. So, still there's times when it can make sense. Let's talk about the pros of it. Yeah. So why would you want to do a pre-inspection and take that risk on?
Well, right now, what we're seeing in the market is all the buyers from a few years ago that were trying to win competitive bid scenarios were waiving inspections. And now they're wanting to sell. And now they're shocked when they get the inspection report back that, I didn't know we had rodent infestation and all the things. And it's costly. It's a surprise. Buyers don't like surprises because they feel like you were trying to hide something. So right now, I feel like anybody who's selling that purchased and waived inspection back when, I think they should do a pre-inspection.
And that would make sense. And like Betsy said, you don't necessarily have to agree to fix everything. You can say, I know that there's like you said, rodent infestation in the crawl space or something. I don't want to do that. I'm willing to fix the roof, but that's it. So you have choices, but again, you have to disclose it.
And there's no, if you find something out and you can't afford to fix it, then you disclose it and then you work with your broker to price the property accordingly. Mm-hmm. And your broker will allow people to know, hey, we know this is going on. We've disclosed it. We've priced it accordingly. So we're not going to give you any more reductions, but they still will try to negotiate.
So since this is about sellers, I got to throw one tidbit up for the buyers. Get a home inspection.
Yes.
Don't skip on that. That's so important.
Yes.
But okay, so when would it make sense? I mean, like, obviously that would be one scenario. What about like older homes? I mean, sometimes maybe you've lived in a home for 40 years and you haven't maintained it like you're supposed to, or maybe you have or thought you have, and it's an old house, things happen, and is that opening a can of worms? I mean,
it is. I mean, you are opening a can of worms. So a lot of times I've worked with buyers that will get a home inspection and say, oh, that's not a big deal. I'm a contractor. My brother's a contractor, my father, whatever, and they can handle the repairs. So any repair requests may not include what the seller was worried about in the first place. But if you know it and you disclose it, then that's where it's kind of, it can be an issue.
Okay. And like sometimes special properties, like maybe you have like a little log cabin and stuff. I mean, there's like little kind of things like this. Again, it probably is a good idea to check them out. So, but if it's a newer construction or something that's been built recently, you probably don't need to do a pre-inspection. And there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to do pre-inspections. Number one, I wouldn't suggest doing it is just because usually that is a buyer cost and it's going to cost you money. And like we just said, it could totally swing the wrong way where, you give them the information and then they're asking for a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm. One of the things though, is if you have a motivated seller where they have a job relocation or, they have to move, in my opinion, you're better off getting a pre-inspection so it just makes things go smoother and there's no surprises.
Yeah.
In regard to new construction, I recently represented 2 buyers on newer construction from 2021. Both inspections came out in the attic that had organic growth. That doesn't mean mold, but organic growth. So even with newer homes, you want an inspection. Pre-inspection, what I am telling people once they purchase now, the buyers once they purchase, is every 3 to 5 years as a homeowner, you should get an inspection. Don't wait until you're going to sell,
right?
Because then you're maintaining your home and everything's safe.
Yeah.
And so when you do go to sell, there shouldn't be any major surprises.
Right. So it kind of like if you know your house and you've been on top of the maintenance and you've been kind of, you're one of those people who are really, really like, every, year I get my furnace serviced and,
right.
and I go up and have somebody check on my roof and it's, hitting the end and I get a new roof and you're one of those people. Yeah, you probably can kind of wait till the buyer does it and they'll probably pick a few things and whatever. Sometimes though, it seems like if you have the pre-inspection though, I mean, I know again, like with my buyers, I always tell them, even if it's sitting there, you don't know who actually did the inspection. Chances are the guy was pretty honest and stuff like that, but there are definitely good inspectors and there's bad inspectors. And, I would want my own person who I've researched and I know that they're going to check for this and they told me they're going to do this. I would want that person to give me that information. So I would still pay it as a buyer, even if the pre-inspection was there. Right. So you could just be wasting money as a seller to do an inspection nobody's going to look at too.
You could. I mean, right now I was representing some buyers a few months ago. Seller did a pre-inspection. It had been on the market a while, and the buyers didn't have a lot of extra money, so they ended up going ahead and taking that information.
Right.
But it went straight to pending. Everything's going very quickly. So on the seller side and the buyer side, everything's moving quickly because that inspection process can take up to 10 days plus an additional 5 if you need additional inspections. So again, it goes back to how motivated is the seller, how quickly do they want things to move.
The timelines and all that. Yes, it does make a difference. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, it's just, I'll tell you, I had 2 scenarios recently. One was with a seller who was with another broker who said, you need to have a pre-inspection. She spent a whole lot of money and she was not very happy and she would not have done that on her own accord. That would not have been her decision. And the second one was I had a seller who purchased as an investment property a couple of years ago, didn't have an inspection, and we were under contract during the holidays. and it was hard to find contractors to get things fixed. So everything was a surprise, and we ended up having to extend that contract for closing. So there again, every single conversation has to be made with the seller and what their needs are.
Right. And that is really the key point, I think, of what you're saying here is that, you really do have to sit down with your broker as a seller, and does it make sense? Is it, are you willing to take those risks? All that stuff kind of really matters. So, yeah, it can make a big difference, and communication and figuring out what works the best for you is really what it is.
And that is the bottom line. Work with your broker. We do this all the time. Have a conversation with us, bring up the pros and cons, and it's ultimately your decision as a seller as to which direction you want to go.
Okay. So anyway, get your strategy down with your broker, and, don't always just think if it's the right move just to do that, because sometimes it can backfire, like we just talked about too. I'd like to hear from you guys and let me know, what would you list your home or do the pre-inspection before you list it, or would you rather wait? Go ahead and drop a line in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Betsy, thank you so much for joining us. I think this is a lot of fun. And what I like about this is that, especially being two different brokerages, I think it's kind of cool because, it really does make a difference to have other brokers. I mean,
Opinions.
Opinions, but also that you're like working together and, kind of coming up with best practices and stuff too,
Yeah.
because a lot of collaboration. Yeah. And sometimes you get some great ones on one side and sometimes not, not as many, but I appreciate you being here.
Thank
We
you.
will be back and do this again. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.